It was with the aim of celebrating Britain's diverse cultural links that the Commonwealth Institute was opened by the Queen in 1962. But 40 years later, it closed its doors and the building is now semi-derelict. It's still regarded, however, as one of the most important modern buildings in London because of its distinctive tent-shaped green roof, and it will eventually become the new home of the Design Museum. But now, for the first time in 10 years, we can visit the old Commonwealth Institute while it's being used as a performance space for a piece of site-specific theatre. I went along during rehearsals, accompanied by architect Maxwell Hutchinson, who has fond memories of the Institute being opened.
It is the thread of personal concern and understanding between individual people that weaves the strong fabric of the modern Commonwealth. It is in the name of all the peoples of the Commonwealth that I declare this building open.
I remember it being built. It's a marvellous trip down memory lane to come and see this. I was so excited. I was in my teens with the idea of a hyperbolic paraboloid. If you take a square of paper and take opposite corners down and then take opposite corners up, then you have a hyperbolic paraboloid. Here was something that appeared to curve when it didn't.
I think the original intention was for it to look like a sort of vast tent inside Holland Park.
I think the intentions were slightly more patronising than that at the end of the empire, quite frankly. But there was the end of empire and this enormous optimism about what the Commonwealth was going to be like. It was going to be a world force. So a building here had to be emblematic of a confidence in the future of the Commonwealth.
Are you sad about the fact that this wonderful building has been derelict for so long?
No, I'm not sad that it's been derelict. I'm very glad it's been rescued, but maybe this temporary period of dereliction has added to the romance of the building.
Well, should we go inside? Because I'd like to talk about the interior with you.
Yes, we have to go through what would have been the water feature, so be careful because we have to step down. Very rural now, isn't it?
It is very rural.
Come on, there we are.
Yeah.
Big step up here. There's quite a dramatic entrance into the building. Well, it must have been at the time. It's looking very humble now. And we're starting to smell that incense of empty buildings. And there's just a glimpse, a wonderful glimpse, of that lettering of the period. Post-Festival of Britain graphics. Look, here we have, "Welcome to the Commonwealth Institute." Now so echoing.
My name's Harry Ross, and I'm producing Common Sounds at the former Commonwealth Institute.
And what is Common Sounds?
It's a considered and curated gathering of choreographers, composers, musicians, and designers that responds to a space that's going to be transformed into something else.
And why use a derelict building as a performance space?
I think there's a great aesthetic to dereliction. Because the building is such an iconic building, it speaks for itself, and it gives the audience many different possibilities to interact with their environment and the performers. And likewise, it gives the performers many different things to be inspired by.
I'm Dane Hurst and I work with the Runway Dance Company.
I'm Hugh Brunt and co-director of the London Contemporary Orchestra.
We're here standing in the main atrium space where one of my choreographies will be taking place. It's around the idea of battle, because when you walk into the old building, it's kind of left in ruin, so you kind of wonder what happened to the people and why the building's been left in such a state of disarray. So my first idea was to create a battle with many dancers and to try to incorporate the audience members as civilians who are kind of caught up in the battle. And I think because it's such a vast space and it's so many echoes and there are so many elements, concrete, wood, metal, it'll be quite interesting to create movement and also to respond to the sound that comes from that movement. And it's also where Hugh will be staging a piece as well.
We're using 8 musicians from the orchestra, and the main space where we are now, we're supplying a string quartet. We'll be playing on one of the lower levels.
We're now standing in the middle of this very spectacular spectacular atrium. I mean, describe what we're seeing in here.
Well, first of all, you see the underside of the roof, the saddle roof, the hyperbolic paraboloid, and then all these galleries at various levels around the edge of the building. It's difficult to call it an edge because, of course, it's sort of indeterminate shape. And we're standing on the middle of a round platform in the middle, which is approached by a myriad of staircases going up and coming down. What a celebration of the re-emerging optimism and creativity of Britain in the post-war years. This is a personification of the way in which we felt about ourselves. We were recovering from the war, we didn't have any money, but we had immeasurable imagination about the futures of this nation.
We're working with a group called the Neo-Futurist Collective, who are a group of actors, and they are imagining that they have been left in the building as invigilators for a decade and no one's spoken to them, and that feeling of isolation, abandoned.
So does every single piece that is going to be shown or performed here respond in some way to this building?
Absolutely, it responds to the building and also the semiotics of the building and the fact that it was a Commonwealth Institute, and it stands upon the foundations of the Empire Institute, and before that it was the vegetable garden for Holland House.
My name is Helen Scarlett O'Neill, and I'm a performance designer. One of our artists, Hannah Jerem, who's been growing things, has been using the natural degradation of the spaces where damp is coming and sunlight's coming in to grow things.
I understand that she's been sort of growing things like cress in all the damp patches. And you're going to eat all of this stuff? I think it should be made part of the performance. It's very in at the moment, food and performance. So have you had lots of sort of discoveries that have fed into the work?
Yes, we discovered there's a sub-basement, which just completely blew our minds. It's vast down there, and there's huge metal conduits, massive systems for heating and cooling down the building. Lockers.
Like Brazil, doesn't it, with the huge metal pipes?
God.
Is it a bit like that?
It is a bit. I mean, there is a definite feeling of that time and scale, and I mean, that's what modernism, brutalism is all about. It's vast and epic.
Commonwealth. Common. Well.
Once you walk down into the basement, the smell is even more intense, and there's no light in there. It's like a damp smell, and it's almost like it's still alive because it smells like life, but it also smells like decay. Alright, we're going to have to turn our torches on because there's a lot of rubble and cables and really dodgy stairwells that we have to be careful for. So as you come through the doors, we walk into the main theatre space, what we're going to be calling the underworld. And I myself am playing the character of Orpheus. Instead of having a musical instrument, I have with me just over 2 meter metal pole that I'll be using as my instrument.
All of the interior is going to be ripped out. Do you think that's a pity?
I think it's a great pity, but at least the building's being saved. And I'm in great anticipation of what will happen to it. I'm sure it will be wonderful, and it will be reunited with Kensington High Street. And once again, London will have a fantastic public building in a part of London that needs one.
It's going to be made into the Design Museum. It's going to be a new home for the Design Museum in 2014. Terence Conran's just announced that he's giving a whole lot of money, and there's going to be public money. Do you think that's going to be a good use of this space?
I think it's a wonderful use of the space, because I don't think enough people go to the current building, but because this building will in itself be a design attraction, will add greatly to whatever is exhibited inside it.
The architect Maxwell Hutchinson, and performances of Common Sounds Touching the Void is between 15th and 17th of July at the Commonwealth Institute, launching the Kensington and Chelsea Contemporary Arts Festival.